something little learned about retirement planning. It's not just a show, oh, yeah, we're going to tell you where to invest your money here and should you buy gold and maybe buy some more real estate. No, this is more of what I call like behind the scenes of retirement planning that, just to say, there's a lot of things you're not being told. That's the main ingredient, I would say, of Aging Options with Rajiv Nagaich here. Let me give you an idea. Topics for today, your RMD strategy. Many people rely on what's called the 4% rule. This is to help determine a safe amount to withdraw from retirement accounts, but the IRS has a different idea. As you age, they'll require you to withdraw much more than that. Does the 4% rule make sense? And how do you manage required withdrawals? That could be twice that high. Okay, you're going to learn. Cash needs in retirement. Sometimes it's easy to overlook the basics. For example, in preparing your financial plan for retirement, have you remembered to allow for emergency cash? Some tips today on why in an emergency cash is king. And where do you find it? Where do you get it? Student loan deficit, default, Social Security. It might surprise you to learn that nearly 500,000 Social Security beneficiaries are also in default on their student loans. With Uncle Sam getting serious about debt collection, could your benefits be at risk? There could be some good news here, at least for now. Hang around, you'll see. Loneliness and alcoholism, senior isolation becoming an epidemic. Tragically, so is substance abuse among elderly. The substance that's easiest to get and creates the most harm, alcohol. If you or someone you love is trapped in alcohol abuse, this is a vitally important story here. All this plus your phone calls here for today. We have a special guest, and I think the timing is right on this because now you're thinking, wow, look at the markets. Look at my 401k. Everything's just growing. I'm rich. I'm all set to retire. Not so fast. Okay, Rajiv Nagaich has the day off today. So who better to bring in than Saket, Sengar, who this is going to be one of those times you're going to have a guy that has a background in finances here. And planning finances for retirement. And Saket, I'm just going to give it to you to give us a better definition of the importance of your part of retirement and what people can learn just having you here today as a guest host.
Good morning, Mark. It's good to be back again. So like you said, my name is Saket Sengar. I'm a financial planner who helps basically clients with a lot of retirement decisions. So there is a big difference between traditionally it's you call financial planner to manage your investments. In the good old days, you will call your broker and tell him what to buy, which stocks to buy, or which bonds to buy, or how to invest your money. That was the old ways of doing things. But as you know, the times have changed, and more life is getting complex with retirement. In retirement, people are living longer, and they have much more unique needs and decisions to make. Like giving an example, when you are about to retire, and if you're lucky enough, if you work for a company which offers you some pension benefits, then your very first decisions that you have to make is, should you take your pension in a lump sum amount, or should you take the pension in your monthly annuity? And that's a big calculation that you need to do. So you need to sit down with someone who understands this thing and does a calculation and helps you make a decision. Another thing I will say is a lot of people have to make a decision about when should they retire. Should they retire at 62, 65, or should they wait till their full retirement age? When should they take their Social Security benefits? Should they take as early as when they're eligible at 62, or should they wait for full retirement age, or maybe waiting till age 70? So there are a lot complex decisions people have to make when it comes to finances. And so that's a unique skill set that you need to go to some financial planner or advisor who understands these things, helps to make these decisions just purely on a finances things. And these are beyond just the how to manage your portfolio or invest, which stocks to buy or bonds to buy. So these are just part of the financial planning. But I will take a step further, like Rajiv says. When you talk about retirement planning, it's just not about finances. Retirement planning has 4 or 5 different disciplines to it. You need to, when you're thinking about retirement, the very first thing you need to plan about your health. Because as long as you're working, you had your health insurance covered through your employer. But once you retire, you need to be doing some planning around Medicare, Medicaid Advantage plans, or various other things so that you are covered in retirement. The other thing is definitely, where are you going to be living? Is this the house that you live in? That's the place you will live in, or you move to a different state? or what are the other housing choices that you will need to make in retirement. Obviously, the third thing I already mentioned about finances. The fourth is people do something about their legal planning. So should you get a will, trust, power of attorneys? These are all decisions that you make. And the last thing is that you need to make sure that all these things are communicated to your agents and the family member who will be helping you carry out these decisions. So that's how I will define the retirement planning and go from there.
And see, this is the whole benefit of the show as we get into the topics in the articles here, like your RMD strategy, cash needs in retirement, or whatever. And again, we've got Saket Sengar here sitting in for Rajiv Nagaich. You can call in any time. Look at no appointment necessary. All you got to do is dial 206-421-1000. If you're thinking, well, I don't know, I don't have a whole bunch of money here, whatever. You know, I'm not rich like maybe other people that I know around the area. You don't have to be rich. It's just how to plan, how to work it for you. And Saket will be the first to say it's different for everybody. Just call and ask the question and just let them share, because others will benefit as well. And that's the fun of this show. It's all about units for you. Aging Options every Saturday right here at Northwest News Radio. Here's the phone number, 206-421-1000. No experience necessary, okay? It's just you're going to get to retirement. Maybe you're already retired and it's a mess. No worry, you're not alone. 206-421-1000. Hang around. You're going to learn a lot here.
The buck doesn't stop here. Hi, this is Brian Calvert, letting you know that you can learn more by going to AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal. Visit AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal.
You know, I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm gone.
Actually, there's someone who gets first shot at your assets when you die, before your kids can even touch them, the tax collector and creditors.
I don't know much about estate and inheritance taxes. I've heard about changes in tax laws, but it's a little complicated, so I just try not to worry about it.
Far too often, the cost of probate and estate taxes forces children to sell off their parents' assets, leaving little for them.
I'd at least like for them to have this house. After all, they grew up here, and we'd like to keep it in the family. They say you can't take it with you. I just didn't realize it was the tax collector who said it.
The elder law attorneys at LifePoint Law understand probate and estate taxes. They know how to protect your assets and your legacy. You can trust LifePoint Law and Rajiv Nagaich. Call 877-ELDER-47. That's 877-ELDER-47.
Traffic and weather along the way of all this learning of better retirement for you.
Traffic on the fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
It is going to be a headache of a drive northbound on I-5 right now, leaving South Center. It's a 25-minute drive to head toward downtown Seattle right now, with the heaviest traffic coming between Michigan Street and I-90. That earlier crash at Seneca Street has been cleaned up. Unfortunately, the damage is done, and that combined with the traffic that's detouring around the 405 closure is really causing to gum up the works on northbound I-5, heading toward I-90. Once you get on I-90 to cross over Lake Washington and Mercer Island, you're fine. It's getting to that point that's going to be the issue. Northbound 405 again shut down between Sunset Boulevard and Coal Creek Parkway. Southbound unaffected. You can get from Bellevue down to Renton, you just can't go the other way. Southbound I-5 looks fine coming from the North Sound into downtown, about 30 minutes or so, and about the same time heading southbound from downtown Seattle into Tacoma. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Forecast here for the weekend. We're looking perfect with the commencement, by the way, for UW today. It's going to be about 50,000 people, Husky Stadium, for that ceremony at 1:30. Sunshine for this afternoon. Temperatures low to mid 70s. And then we're looking at overnight lows in the upper 40s to low 50s. Sunny again tomorrow, a few degrees, even warmer. Dry, no rain in the forecast. 54 right now here in Seattle. Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000. With all the performances, what do they say? Life's a stage, everybody plays a part, and you've had friends in and out all along the way, or maybe for the whole way, or maybe some new ones that just popped in here, and you make the adjustment here. Anyway, it's time for your retirement, but better when you have a plan of how to deal with it here. There's a lot of things you're not being told. Listen to the show for the hour, and you'll see why. Again, the phone number here, 206-421-1000. 1000. Saket Sengar is in with us today here. Rajiv Nagaich has the day off. But again, he's all about finances and background, but can handle questions too. And before we move on, would you like to take a phone call, Saket?
Sure, let's go ahead.
Okay, let's go to Bob and Lacey. Bob, thanks for calling in. You have something, a question here about drawing from Social Security. Go ahead, it's all yours.
Yes, sir. Good morning. I am in planning for our retirement. My wife was going to draw her Social Security at 62 in about 4 years, and I was going to wait to draw mine at 67. My question is that still allowed? And the second part of the question is, does that cause her to have a penalty when I pass away to receive my full 67 amount?
So, good morning, Bob. Thank you for asking the questions. So the way, the first means you have multiple question within your question. So the first question is she eligible, or you are eligible to draw at 62? So the answer is yes. At 62, you become eligible to draw it. Or you can wait. In your case, you were saying to wait until your full retirement age of 67. That's certainly you can do it. The pluses and minuses of drawing Social Security at 62, that's the earliest you can draw, is you will be penalized, whether it's you or your wife, whoever draws before your full retirement age. There is a penalty that you need to be looking into it. If you wait until your full retirement age, then certainly you are not penalized. And there is another unsaid rule with Social Security is you can wait all the way until age 70. So if you wait a year after your full retirement age, your benefits gets increased by 8%. So that's another benefit of delaying the Social Security. And these are the various strategies that we take a look at it when we are helping and guiding clients. The other question you asked, if you pass away, will your wife get penalized on the benefits? So when a married couple, both taking or drawing Social Security, and when one of the spouse passes away, the surviving spouse has an option. She can take a look at what her benefits are at the time of the passing, or take a look at what the benefits the other spouse was drawing. And she can pick and choose, or she will be getting a higher off. So let's say in this case, particular case that you said, where your wife starts at 62, she gets reduced benefit. You wait until 67, and you are getting full benefits, and your benefits are higher at the time of your passing. Then obviously your wife will be eligible for survivor's benefit, which will be higher compared to her own benefits. So I hope that answers the question.
That does. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for the call.
Saket, what do you say about people, and I go this all the time, well, you're retired at 62, do the math. You're going to get a lot more money rather than some of us who have to wait till we're 67.
So this is a very common question that I get it. And people are excited because they have worked their whole life, and now at 62 they are eligible. And, money is the biggest greed. When someone is giving you a check and you really want to wait, or should I just get the check from Social Security at 62? I will say slow down the train. Yes, you are eligible, and it doesn't mean that at 62, if you start it, you cannot. It's not a decision whether you take it or leave it, right? You can start at 63 if you want, at 64, or whatever age. You are eligible at 62. But you have to close your eyes and think in retirement if you're living 30, 40 years. And if you take early on, you may not be able to get the benefits. Like I said, after 67, the Social Security benefits are getting a guaranteed 8% return until you turn 70. So you are going to lose lot. You are leaving a lot on the table by taking at 62. And then when I am helping clients, you have to take a look at not just the Social Security. I have to take a look at if you're married, what other assets you have, what other income sources you have it. And so it's a little bit much more complex, scenario that I built to help the clients to make that decision. And the tool that I have already shared with you to help make these decisions is called Financial Dashboard. Financial Dashboard is a phenomenal dynamic tool that can help answer these questions. Should you take Social Security at 62 or 65 or 67 or age 70? Should you take your pension as a lump sum, or should you take the pension as an annuity, or whatever financial decisions that you need to make? Financial dashboard is a tool that I use it, and it's a phenomenal. It can answer any question, and that can help you make some decisions.
Now, is this something you would do, the dashboard?
I certainly, when I'm helping with the clients, I start with the financial dashboard. Mm-hmm. That's how the process works in my office. But any competent financial planner can do this thing if they choose to do that thing. But sadly, the reality is most of the financial planners are more focused on investing your money, whether buying stocks, bonds, other things, and not dedicating enough time in helping these critical decisions, whether to take Social Security at what age, when should you retire, should you take a lump sum, or should you take a monthly annuity on the pension. So those are much more, decisions that I focus on when I help the clients. And then obviously in the later stage, I do help the clients with the management of their portfolio and investing.
Okay, Saket Sengar is helping out today. Rajiv Nagaich has the day off here. LifePointLaw.com, the website that backs everything up you're hearing every week here on Aging Options. But Saket, how do we get a hold of you directly?
People can call my office. My direct line is 206-234-7516. Again, that's 206-234-7516.
But if you can't wait because you got a question right now, call him right here in the studio, 206-421-1000. All yours. I just love the fact no appointment necessary, man. It's all right here for you for the hour, but it goes quick. Again, 206-421-1000. Traffic and weather along the way, news top and the bottom of the hour, more of planning retirement. Welcome to Aging Options. I'm Mark Christopher, producer. Yeah, call your friends, call your coworkers, say, oh, you got to listen to the show at Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000.
Traffic on the Fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
It's still very crowded and very slow on northbound I-5 right now. About a 25-minute drive from South Center into downtown Seattle right now, with the majority of that occurring between Michigan Street and I-90. About 15 of those minutes will be stuck in traffic in that stretch of I-5. This is also going to affect traffic coming off the West Seattle Bridge, trying to get onto northbound I-5 as well. Northbound 405 still shut down at Sunset Boulevard. The delays begin at 169. Those side streets through Renton and Newcastle are parking lots right now. Do not take those signed detours if you can help it. Even sitting in traffic on I-5 is preferable to dealing with these side street detours through Newcastle right now. I know it's going to be a pain to sit in traffic, and you don't want to do it, but trust me, it will get you through there faster, even sitting in traffic. Once you get on I-90 to cross the floating bridge, you're home free. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Dry conditions all for the weekend, whether it's commencement here with UW, Edmonds Art Festival. You got soccer going on tomorrow here, Lumen Field. And yeah, just maybe something fun to do outdoors with Dad. Dry weather, no rain in the forecast. Temperatures both the afternoon today and tomorrow will be upper 60s into the 70s. Overnight lows will be upper 40s into the 50s. As we continue now, more of Aging Options. Yeah, how long you been taking care of business? You look forward to that day when it's time to encore your life here and not have to get up, and you probably get rid of the alarm clock here and any other method you have in waking up. Welcome to Aging Options. Mark Christopher, producer. Saket Sengar is sitting in here. It's all about finances in the world of what he does here, helping out among all of the connections that Rajiv Nagaich, our host, has here. LifePointLaw.com. Again, the website backs everything up here. Saket, one of the articles here, your RMD strategy, many people rely on what's called this 4% rule, apparently to help determine a safe amount to withdraw from retirement accounts. But the IRS has a different idea that as you age, they'll require you to withdraw much more than that. Does the 4% rule make sense? I mean, what do you see into this?
So the way you were asking question, and if someone is listening, it sounds it's very complex. Let me break it down in a very simple terms. So what the article is talking about is, first of all, it's RMD. So what is RMD? It's called required minimum distribution. So anyone who has worked whole your life, you contributed into your 401k account, and upon your retirement, either you still have the 401k or rolled over into an IRA, that's called individual retirement account. And while you were contributing, you never paid any taxes, and all the taxes were deferred on the growth of the account. The IRS rule is now the new rule is at 73 you are forced to take the money out. And what is that amount that you have to take it out? It's called required minimum distribution, RMD. And there is the IRS calculator. You use it, and they will tell you how much to take it out. And then there is another financial theory in the good old days when people used to help clients retire and say how much they should be taking it out from their portfolio, which is an IRA. The theory was take out 4%. If you stick to a 4% rule, you will never go broke or you will never run out of the money. But the rule has changed, and these are old theories because the 4% rule was designed back in 80s or 90s, I will say, when the interest rates were very high, and most of the people had their investments towards the fixed income. And if you are earning enough interest on your account, the 4% rule will suffice. But things have changed now. They are more complex. People is not only investing in stocks and bonds, there are cryptos, there are alternatives, there are SMAs, there are mutual funds, all sorts of things are there. And the question is the 4% rule still good? Maybe that will be a good start if you don't want to make your life complex. But I will say is when I'm helping clients is I custom tailor this thing. In the beginning of the show, I mentioned about a dynamic tool called Financial Dashboard. Financial Dashboard is a great tool that I use to help answer these questions. How much you should take out in RMD? When should you the government says that you have to take the RMD at 73. But do you have to wait till age 73 to take the RMD? You can start early. It may not called an RMD, but there are various strategies. Like one of the strategies I will say, if you can wait until age 70 to take your Social Security, because by waiting longer, you're getting an 8% bump in your Social Security benefits, but you can start drawing from your IRA. So let's say someone retired at 65 or 67, let's say at your full retirement age, and now you don't have any income, you have an IRA account sitting, and you know that if I'm retiring at 67, I need some income to live on. Maybe a better strategy is to start taking some money from an IRA and not start your Social Security and wait for the Social Security benefit until age 70, because by waiting every year, you are getting an 8% bump. So there are various strategies that we will have to take a look at it, and what will be a right one for you, it will depend on your lifestyle, your income, and your assets. So again, I will go back to the question that you raised is we can customize these answers to individual needs using the Financial Dashboard.
Okay. And again, everything we're discussing here, these articles, you can read more into it if you go to lifepointlaw.com. Hang around, cash needs and retirement. All right? There's another topic. Student loan default, Social Security. You still owe on the loan and all these years? All right. Saket Sengar is with us today here. He's got room. If you got questions, 206-421-1000. Again, this is all about you and learning things that nobody's telling you about or planning a better retirement. Even if you have your first job, you can learn something. Call in with a question. Hang with us.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Chuck Severtson. Police say there's a manhunt for a specific person they want to talk to in the two overnight shootings of two U.S. lawmakers in their own homes in the suburbs north of Minneapolis. Former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband are dead. Senator John Hoffman and his wife are out of surgery. Police say they exchanged gunfire with somebody when they were checking at the home of Hortman. That person escaped. Police say they found a list of other targets in his car and that he appeared to be impersonating a police officer. Bob Jacobson, Minnesota Commissioner of Public Safety.
The suspect exploited the trust of our uniforms, that our uniforms are meant to represent. That betrayal is deeply disturbing to those of us who wear the badge with honor and responsibility.
Minnesota State Patrol asking the public not to attend today's demonstrations across Minnesota out of an abundance of caution. This is ABC News.
When you need to know, Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000. Now, this hour's top local stories with Mark Christopher.
Before we get back to more of Aging Options and helping you plan a better retirement and learn so much more, stories we have for you at this time. It's going to be a busy time in Seattle. We got the cruise ships for one in town here. We've got soccer going on here in town as well. The Sounders here, part of the World Cup going on for the weekend. And don't forget, University of Washington honoring the graduating class of 2025, the university's 150th annual commencement exercises. 7,400 graduates take to the field at the magnificent Husky Stadium today. What a day with all this nice sunshine here. Cheers and applause of some 50,000 family members and friends attending. How that will affect your traffic, what roads you may need to avoid if you have to get to work or somewhere, because you don't have to be at the graduation ceremony here. We'll get to Brian with an update here in just a moment. As you heard on ABC News, lots of protests going on here for the rallies here. State leaders and law enforcement are bracing for a day of protest around here against President Trump's immigration actions across the state. 80 cities alone statewide here have events today. A couple of them happening in Tacoma, as we find out from Ryan Sims at Tacoma 4.
One of them will happen here in the heart of town at People's Park, while the other will be held near Point Defiance. In the aftermath of this week's unrest at similar gatherings in Seattle, Tacoma's mayor says a safety plan has been drawn up in case things take a violent turn here. It includes open communication with other communities and counties and a willingness to share resources in the event of an emergency.
We are prepared. We are working proactively.
Those measures come as Tacoma has already seen sizable protests at this ICE detention center, with anti-ICE protesters vowing not to back down.
We are with you all in this fight for a better, safer world for our migrant communities. It's not enough just to protect and defend. We want to see the end.
When it comes to the protests this weekend, organizers say they expect possibly more than 1,000 people to show up.
Again, there's Ryan Sims here of Como News. An update on the search for Travis Decker, still on the run. We're getting word this morning, North Cascades National Park Service sending a note that park officials now have closed trails in Lake Chelan National Recreation Area within North Cascades National Park Service complex. This includes Rainbow Lake Trail, Rainbow Creek Trail, looking at the list here, Twist Pass Trails on the list here, Upper Stehekin Valley Trail as well here. Trails closed until further notice due to the ongoing search for Travis Decker here. Suspect in Chelan County. Decker last seen wearing light-colored shirt and dark shorts here in a recent sighting from a helicopter here. If you know of anything, if you see anything, you're asked to call 911. And again, they encourage anybody who might have information from a Ring doorbell camera set up maybe on your vacation home in the area there in Chelan County, or maybe a surveillance camera. Use your electronics. Take a look at the video. If you see anything that looks like it might be some clue, get a hold of 911 right away. 9:34. Let's check traffic right now. Here's Brian.
Traffic on the fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Still seeing big-time backups northbound on I-5 around Michigan Street heading up into downtown Seattle right now. That's about a 15-minute drive by itself. You're looking at 25 overall between South Center and downtown Seattle right now. Northbound 405 still shut down all weekend long between Sunset Boulevard and Coal Creek Parkway. Those are your detour routes. Unfortunately, those detour routes are very backed up, and you probably want nothing to do with them. You probably want to just deal with the traffic on I-5. It's going to be messy all weekend. Just want to leave yourself plenty of extra time. But once you get on I-90 to cross over Lake Washington and across Mercer Island, you should be in pretty good shape. Don't forget the UW commencement begins at 1:30 this afternoon. Doors open at Husky Stadium at noon. You can expect very heavy traffic on 520, Montlake Boulevard, Pacific Street. All the major roads around the area should really start backing up a clock or so, and you want to stay away from the area unless you're heading to the commencement. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
And Shannon O'Donnell with our forecast for the weekend.
Happy weekend, everybody. It is the middle of June. It is Father's Day weekend, and it is fabulous. We are going to enjoy a lot of early cloud cover, followed by afternoon sun. Really comfortable maritime climate weather that we're known for around here, especially this time of year. Look for temps to start out at around 50 each day, but end up in the upper 60s to the low 70s. We'll hold at this pattern. We call it the status quo for a reason as we head into next week. In the Como Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
And temperature right now here in Seattle is 53. Welcome to Aging Options, everybody. I'm Mark Christopher, producing here. Rajiv Nagaich, our host, is off for today. Sitting in, boy, it'd be just good timing to have Saket here in here to help out just all the financial background that Saket Sengar has for us here, and he's already shared quite a bit already. Another article, and again, as you listen to this and Saket answer, you can find more and read about it here if you go to the website, lifepointlaw.com. Cash needs in retirement, Saket. Sometimes it's easy to overlook the basics. An example comes to mind in preparing a financial plan for retirement. Have you remembered to allow for emergency cash? Some tips today on why an emergency cash is king. Where do you get it? Where do you keep it? How much to set aside? So when you sit down with a client, how do you explain that? And where do we find it?
That's a very basic, whether it's you retire or not retire, even if you're starting a family or you're just getting into a workspace, the very first basic rule is in any budgeting process is to have some emergency cash. Means you can just keep it in your savings or checking account or just keep it aside where you can easily access it. The question is you just leave it as a cash, or you put it into some money market account or some CD or some kind of thing. So usually when I'm recommending client is it depending on what age they are and what other needs are, maybe 3 months cash of their living expense. At the max, I will go 6 months. That will be just my recommended choice, not more than that. And put that thing in some money market account. Right now, you can get close to 4.5% with money market account. That's much better. Your money is earning rather than sitting into some checking where your money is hardly earning anything. The goal is just that whenever you need it, you can just tap in and use it so that you don't have to sell your investments or other things to get the thing for any emergency. So my simple answer is 3 to 6 months, depending from clients to clients.
And common sense, then, if we use some of that, not all of it, replenish it. And
just keep it replenishing it. Yes, you're correct.
Emergencies that come to mind. Just give us a couple that.
See, I'm helping with the retiree clients, right? So usually what happens is if one of the spouse pass away all of a sudden, and now usually what happens with the investment world, if you're a married client, when a person passes away, your accounts get restricted. Even you have the money, you cannot tap into that money unless you have to go through the wills and the probate and other processes. So if you have a cash sitting in a checking account, then it's much easier to tap into it. Means obviously, if you're a young client, then you're talking about if your car breaks down or you're going on a trip or something, or all of a sudden your credit card or you lost your wallet and the credit cards have to be canceled, then you're looking at emergency. So emergency can be anything, right? But I'm just talking about retiree clients, where they can just tap into the cash whenever they need the cash.
See, I knew you'd have an answer like that, because a lot of us are like, well, but that's a good point. The spouse passes away, and all of a sudden things freeze up, and you're like, wait a minute, I got to get some expenses here for a funeral, or maybe fly my sister in to be with me because she said she'd help me out and get organized here. So it is so good to have you here. Not that it's not great to have Rajiv take a day off, but again, everybody, it's a benefit here to have Saket Sengar hanging out with us today here, talking about, just all the articles we have, the cash needs in retirement. Real quick, as you listen to the radio, some of you don't know that we also have this live on TV to watch. And I want to bring Alec, who's here every Saturday with a camera, explain where we can watch this as it happens, how you set it up, and what we need to know if we want to watch it, maybe later, because we can't listen to the whole radio show.
That's right. If you want to see all of the action here in the studio, you can head over to YouTube and search for Aging Options there over on YouTube.com. You'll find us. We'll be live right now if you go there and just search Aging Options on YouTube. And you can see this stream, and you can watch all the the great guests we've had. And you will find also a lot of other good content there on YouTube that you will not find anywhere else.
And again, you archive these so we can go back?
That's right.
Okay.
Every radio show that we live stream, you can go and watch the broadcast whenever you want. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, whenever.
Okay, once again, where do we find that, Alec?
At youtube.com, just search Aging Options Radio.
Did you see the camera over here, Saket, when you came in today? Did you like, what's Mark doing here? Is one going to be on radio here? No, you're doing a fine job here. And again, it's just great. If you just tuned in, Saket, again, a background check on you. Just, a brief description, if somebody just tuned in and said, well, who's this guy filling in for Rajiv here and apparently knows a little bit about cash needs and retirement? Real quick background, just to bring in seats around the same table.
So brief background is, like I told you before, by my education and skill, I'm a certified financial planner. I help the clients with the financial decisions. Like any other financial advisor, whether it's talking about your investments, 401ks, IRAs, or whether you want to have some portfolio or wealth management, how much you should invest in stocks, bonds, cash, all those things. But more importantly, I help with the retirement planning. And retirement planning, one of the big things that I love working with Rajiv and Aging Options is retirement planning is just not about the finances. Retirement planning goes beyond finances. We talk about how to plan for health planning, how to plan for the housing issues. And talking about housing is a much, how should I say, most or the least appreciated planning. People don't plan for housing until they have to deal with some long-term care issues later in the in their life, and then people find themselves forced into some institutional care against their wishes. So there is a lot of planning opportunity that people need to do upfront, so they don't have these horrendous outcomes that they wish to avoid. So again, I help with the retirement planning. Beyond just the finances.
Phone number, and say it twice if we want to get you directly.
My direct office number is 206-234-7516.
One more time.
206-234-7516.
And there's always lifepointlaw.com, the website that has everything you're hearing here and more articles to read. And you'll make it a favorite. You'll make it a bookmark because there's just so much reference here to Rajiv. And everybody involved with the show, Aging Options, is put together. Again, have a look at lifepointlaw.com. More seminars on the way. These are those free 90-minute seminars. You can go and meet Rajiv and ask questions and bring friends, coworkers, and he's all over the Puget Sound. So watch the website for that under events. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Brian Calvert thanking you for listening to Aging Options. For more great options to help guide your future, go to AgingOptions.com. That's AgingOptions.com. And select blogs under the free Learning Center tab. AgingOptions.com.
You know, I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm gone.
Actually, there's someone who gets first shot at your assets when you die, before your kids can even touch them, the tax collector and creditors.
I don't know much about estate and inheritance taxes. I've heard about changes in tax laws, but it's a little complicated, so I just try not to worry about it.
Far too often, the cost of probate and estate taxes forces children to sell off their parents' assets, leaving little for them.
I'd at least like for them to have this house. After all, they grew up here, and we'd like to keep it in the family. They say you can't take it with you. I just didn't realize it was the tax collector who said it.
The elder law attorneys at LifePoint Law understand probate and estate taxes. They know how to protect your assets and your legacy. You can trust LifePoint Law and Rajiv Nagaich. Call 877-ELDER-47. That's 877-ELDER-47.
Yeah, you can trust us too with a unique lifestyle show here, like Aging Options, all about planning retirement. We still do traffic and weather along the way.
Traffic on the fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
The good news is we're actually seeing maybe just a tiny bit of improvement on northbound I-5 right now. You're still slowing down from Michigan Street up to the West Seattle Bridge, but once you get past there, it's really just on and off slowing, about what we normally see this time of day through I-90 up into the downtown exits. If you're using that as your detour around 405, expect maybe an extra 5 minutes or so to your normal 15-minute drive time in that stretch, maybe about a 20-minute drive or so, but it shouldn't be too bad. And once you get on I-90, I'm telling you, crossing over Lake Washington and across Mercer Island, it is fine. Once you get onto I-90, you're in good shape. That is definitely the way to go. If you use the official DOT detour, Sunset Boulevard and Coal Creek Parkway to get around this closure on 405, you're looking at a 30 to 45-minute drive from South Center up to Bellevue right now. It is a very, very slow drive. These streets are just not designed to carry traffic on an interstate, and they're going to have to do that for the next couple of days. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Right out the studios here of Lower Queen Anne, we can look out at Elliott Bay, and another handful of boats headed out. What a beautiful day to be on the water. Hopefully you know somebody with a boat. Maybe you've got a boat here. Don't forget life jackets here. It's going to be nice and sunny for the afternoon, both today and tomorrow. Temperatures will be upper 60s to low 70s today, closer to mid 70s for most areas for tomorrow, and the overnight lows are going to be in the upper 40s to the mid 50s. Of course, cooler away from the water's edge here. Actually, cooler at the water's edge, a little bit warmer away from the water's edge. Get it right, Mark. We'll get it right. All right, temperature right now here in Seattle is 53. People and on stage and just being out in the forefront of so much. What's it going to be like just to have you home 24 hours a day? I simply tell Karen, I'm all yours. She's like, I'm the boss. I said, yes, honey. So these are little things you got to think about when it comes to planning retirement. Saket Sengar is here helping out today. Rajiv Nagaich with the day off. And since you do a lot of finances, and you've been doing great here, helping us with cash needs and retirement, and the RMD strategy, many people wanting about the 4% rule. Is there some dangers involved there? When you get somebody involved here to help out with your financials, like an advisor, we wonder about the fees. Can you explain a little bit how those fees work? Do we get a big chunk we got to pay up front? Do they take a little bit off the top as we go along? Because I figure it's going to be a long-term relationship with somebody like you. But how does that work just to comfort somebody saying, I don't want to pay all this money out?
That's a good question, Mark. The fees, when it comes to financial planning and investment, is always very confusing. And this is one of the questions people ask. So let me see if I can help in a much better way. So while you're working, mostly the people are investing within their 401ks, and the 401ks are being provided through your employer, and you hardly pay any fees because your employer is covering those fees. And by the time you retire, you have accumulated a large amount in your 401k, and then you have to make a decision what to do with this thing. So usually either a couple of things people have an option. Either people are managing on their own self, then you will have a custody of the 401k with some big financial institution, and you are managing it and you are telling them what to do, what not to do, then you are hardly paying any fees. The fees you will be paying to that custodian who is having the custody of your account. If you hire an advisor like myself, then obviously you will be paying some sort of a fee, and then the fee comes in different flavors. Either you are paying them on an hourly basis, or you're paying a flat fee, or you are doing something called a asset-based fees, which is when someone is managing your portfolio year after year, you are paying certain amount of fee. Usually the fees range between, I will say, 80 basis point to 1.55% of the portfolio that someone is managing for it. That's very average fees that I'm talking about it. But the fee is a very confusing topic. Is the reason it is because that fee that you're paying to the advisor, on top of that, there are multiple other fees which are very hidden from the regular consumer, and you may not know it. So let's say if I'm building a portfolio, you come to me and you hire me, and I say my fees is 1% of whatever money that you will be, I will be managing it for you, Mark. And let's say if your portfolio is $1 million, my fees is 1%. That's basically a 10 grand on an annual year that you will have access to, and I will do all the financial dashboard, all the tools. I can answer all your questions. In addition to that, I will be managing your portfolio. That basically meaning is I'm picking and choosing where to invest your money, how to invest the money, and make sure that we are keeping up with the goals. But what do I hold in your portfolio, whether I choose mutual funds, individual stocks, ETFs, crypto, or all various holdings or various positions that I'm picking and choosing, they come with their own fees, and which is not very transparent to the people. And then most of the advisors these days, that's called outsourcing of the investment. They don't want to take time to manage the portfolio or do the building that portfolio in-house. They will hire a third party or third party managers, let them manage it and pay them. But those fees are also being paid through the portfolio. The funny thing is, because clients think, because you are never writing a check to a financial advisor or financial company, the fees comes from within the portfolio, and if those fees are not very transparent, but it's eating up in your gains. So that's how the traditional way it works. So you have to be knowing what is the fees that you are paying. On an average, when I review the client's portfolio, or when a client is coming, a new client is coming to my office, it's very common to see that people are paying between 2 to 3% to some financial institution or to some financial advisor. In my humble opinion, the fee should be close to 1% and not more than that. And on top of that, if you are working with a fiduciary advisor who is the job, or by definition, the goal is that he is looking for your best interest, he should be telling you exactly how much fees it is, if there is any conflict of interest, and be very transparent about not only the process, but any third-party fees that you are paying. So I will say, if you are working with me, the fee is 1%, not more than that. There is no commissions. There is no management fee other than the fees that you are paying to me, the advisor. There is no custodian fees there. So all these fees is a very sensitive thing, but you need to understand whichever advisor, whichever institution that you are working with. I hope that answers the question.
No, you got us thinking about that, and that's the reason we give you a chance to call in if you got a question. Still time at 206-421-1000. Again, it's Saket Sengar here, filling in for Rajiv Nagaich, and this is the guy with all the background of, well, I just told you, when it comes to financial planning, investment planning, this is the guy you can talk to right now, 206-421-1000. We're going to go to break. Saket, when we come back, student loan default here and Social Security, and just answer this question, yes or no, before we go to break, kind of a tease. Were you surprised, as I was, to read that 500,000 seniors are in default on their student loans? Does that seem like a lot to you?
Absolutely. I was so surprised.
Okay. We'll share that. And again, everything is shared here. Articles appearing. Thanks to Tony, executive producer, posted at lifepointlaw.com. Just click on the blog there and you can read more. Hang on, more of Aging Options right here for you.
Traffic on the Fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Still looking at some big delays in some unusual spots, and this is kind of downstream effects of the closure on 405. I-5 northbound is slowing down, starting before you get to Michigan Street up through the West Seattle Bridge, and then again heading into downtown Seattle. Nothing unusual for this time of day, but it is definitely more traffic than usual for this time of day. Also affected, unusually so, Highway 18 over Tiger Mountain. Doesn't usually back up on a weekend, but today it is because folks are avoiding 405. Highway 900 east of Renton after it gets out of Renton heading over Cougar Mountain, also slowing down this morning. You're looking at heavy traffic on the side streets through Renton and Newcastle because folks are avoiding 405, where you can't take it between Sunset Boulevard and Coal Creek Parkway until Monday morning. Again, 4 o'clock Monday morning is when they're pulling back the cones, and everything should be back open for Monday morning's commute. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Sunny and dry weather for the afternoon, upper 60s to 70s. Overnight lows will be upper 40s to 50s. Getting right back to Aging Options. Again, helping out today. Co-host Phil N doing a nice job here. There's no script. He's here with all the knowledge just to jump right in here. And, of course, we've got Saket here. Make that Saket Sengar. See, you share so much information. I get confused. I'm trying to write everything down here, and I want to learn more. One of the other items we have, student loan default here, and a lot of seniors still dealing with this. And you said, yeah, you were surprised or not surprised so many still have it. Uncle Sam getting serious about debt collection here on this. What can we do? What do we need to know about this?
Means, like I said, I was totally surprised. In my whole career, I'm doing financial planning for 15 years or close to 15 years. I only remember one client who was in retirement. She was carrying a student loan because she had a PhD and she retired and she still carried the student loan. So I can only remember one client. But when I read this article, there is a program called Plus Loan or something which parents take out to help their kids or grandkids, but they are ultimately responsible for paying it back. So, like in my personal own experience, I never took out any loan, so I have no idea about it because I paid for my own education while I was working. So, it's very article says that there are too many people, but in my professional career, I only faced one client. So I have very limited knowledge on that. That being said, people in retirement, they have to worry about other things, and now you're talking about student loans. So,
is there we got about 25 seconds here or whatever. Are the benefits going to be at risk here? Is there some good news?
No. So the article is talking about garnishing the Social Security benefits. So I don't think so. And they reconfirmed that thing.
Okay.
But again, this is a federal program, so they do have an option that they can go back and say, okay, we need to get the money. Usually they garnish the wages, not the benefits. I have never seen it, but we don't know.
See how fast this show goes here. Okay, real quick, how do we get a hold of you, Saket, Sengar, to help us out with finances and questions?
If you have any questions, people can call me at my direct line, 206-234-7516. 206-234-7516.
There you go. LifePointLaw.com, the website. Everything you heard, everything we shared. Have a read and look for more. Hang on.
The preceding program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Hi, this is Brian Calvert letting you know the best way to learn about aging options is to go to a seminar. Go to lifepointlaw.com and select upcoming events for a seminar near you. That's lifepointlaw.com.
You know, I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm